Did you interact with any anti-GamerGate people?
Not as much. I've interacted with a few people that seemed like they were okay people and stuff. You don't think I think, but you're okay type of person. I've seen a few of those people, but I've seen a few dipshits. Like there's this guy named Helicopter Guy. He was like, I don't even know. We at first we thought he was a troll, but then he believed everything he was saying, and it was to the point where he said like racist things when he when he was trying to prove his point. I've seen it firsthand with some of these people, and it's like, damn. Yeah, I've seen both sides of the article. Like when you had me on for that trans thing about Mass Effect, or not Mass Effect, what's that game called? Starfield, when we were talking about that thing, there was just like this back and forth between extremists and moderate thoughts. And I'm like, now I knew why I left Gamergate. It was just that constant back and forth and stuff, and it drove me insane. I mean, I respect people's opinions, respect their beliefs and stuff like that. They want to believe whatever they want to believe. That's fine. That as long as they don't try to force that down other people's throats. That's when I have the problem with them.
If Helicopter Guy or Anita Sarkeesian or Brianna Wu or somebody like that approached you today and wanted to have a conversation, do you think that you could have a civil conversation with them?
Actually, I would. It's like, yeah, we were idiots back then. Yeah, let's talk about how much idiots we were back then in those days. And now it's a reflection on who we were and what we became. And that's the type of discussions I would like with some of these people. It's like, yeah, we were this way back in 2014, 2015, 2016, and part of 2017, but we've changed over the last 10 years. Your minds have changed when you grew up. You mature in your like yeah, it's just a whole issue with maturity, and you look back at it and say, yeah, we were idiots back then. And I would say that about the pro just as much as the anti. I bet those people that think that said the stupid shit that they said, like borderline racist things on a live stream that I've heard them say, and it's not that I've actually heard people say that was like bordering on racism, and that because they wanted to prove their point. I've seen things like that, and I'm thinking to myself, if I would have asked them today what they thought of themselves back then, they'd probably say I'm disgusted by my actions back then. And we would all say that. Like I said with myself, I was disgusted by my actions back then. But yeah, you look back at yourself in the past and you're like, what the hell was wrong with me? That's how I put it.
Yeah, I've gone down memory lane looking back at the Gamergate stuff. I think I made a lot of good arguments, and I think I made some really dumb arguments. But I'm glad for the experience to have learned, and I feel like a lot of the work I did was good, and a lot of it wasn't. The more long form stuff I did on my channel, I'm pretty happy with. The
Mhm.
more short form, I'm gonna do like a 3 minute video about this controversy, or 5 minutes. Like that was not as the most. Those weren't the most nuanced takes usually.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, But I
Mhm.
did a lot of. It's a mixed bag, You looking back in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah. And like you see with me, like everything my mind jumping from one end of the area to the other. It's Asperger's syndrome for me. I'm not going to use it as a crutch, but I'm just going to say it's uh it's something that always it's just something you learn the hard way. Okay, you should not be this way, but you have to think it. You have to look back. It's a period of reflection, like looking back at Gamergate. It's like you're looking back at yourself. Holy shit, I was crazy back then. My mind's back then of being stressed out and stuff, seeing like horrific things happen to people, and then you say stupid shit, you're looking back like, oh my god, was I an idiot back then? And you look back at it now, you look back and then just where your mind is right now compared to where you were when you were younger, you think, oh, thank God I'm not that idiot anymore. That's how I think about it when I look back at Gamergate. I thought I was an idiot in the early days of it.
I do want to push back a little bit on the helicopter guy thing. I know you thought
Hmm.
he was dumb, and a lot of
Hmm.
people did. A lot of people didn't like helicopter guy. But I've interacted with him maybe more than a lot of other people did. I think he really did believe in the things that he did, and I don't think he was like totally crazy because
No, he wasn't.
he did a lot of research, right? He knew what was happening in the GamerGate community as it was going on. Most of the anti-GamerGate people didn't. He actually knew the stuff that was going on.
I don't know. Yeah, I understand that, but when the first stream that we've ever really interacted with him was on my live stream and stuff, and the stupid shit he said, let's just say he said a lot of stupid shit, and I think he would even reflect back at that and say, "What the hell was I thinking saying those words?" Like even he would probably reflect on that. Like we all say stupid shit when we're just shooting the shit and stuff, and we look back at that and say, "Holy shit, I was an idiot." And that's how I think of it. Like everyone has that opinion where it's like you look back and say, "Okay, I'm glad I'm no longer that person." That's how I put it. I know it's ugh. I mean, I think he might have matured over the years, so I'm giving him that benefit of the doubt because who knows what he's like today? Like you said about John Kelly, he improved over the years.
Well, I don't know if that's
Like,
true. One person told me
uh,
that, but
yeah, one person, but I'm just saying someone could have gotten moderate over the years. People could have been moderated over the years, and
sure.
like people change. It's not like oh they have this extreme th- thoughts and stuff. Like Brianna Wu, for instance, I I don't know what she's been doing now, but I heard she's been different than what she used to be like.
She's moderated too. I
Hmm.
operate in the same community she does. We've not really
Hmm.
talked directly one on one yet. I'm not sure she's interested in that, but I'm open to the conversation. And it seems like she has moderated. She's talked with PSA Sitch and the Hat
Hmm.
Man, who obviously used to disagree with her on a lot of stuff and maybe still do.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I
It's just yeah. You look at that and you're like, okay, everyone's changed since then. Like, are they going to be these? Is it going to be? I don't remember. It's just it drove me insane back then.
Uh, did you change anybody's mind on GamerGate, or did you make any friends from the other side?
Uh, Kind of, sort of, not really. I What we did was we just abandoned it after like 2015 ended. We're like, okay, we're not going to talk about this anymore. There's no more reason to talk about this. We cannot let this thing keep going. You're beating the dead horse basically, and you should not be. You should be trying to focus on different things, talk about different things you like and stuff, because we were doing live streaming at this point and stuff. Nurgle's running stream of corruption. We were handling stuff like that. And we're like, okay, we have to focus on other things because this isn't going to last for too much longer. Like for me, for instance, when I would do live streaming, I covered E3 and stuff like that. I used to cover E3 all the time. And then it just, yeah, I mean, I think I still have the live reactions of us finding out that Fallout 76 was multiplayer only. Yeah, that was still a funny thing. But I mean, reason why I've actually interacted with a bunch of people that were anti and stuff like that. I've had good conversations with them. I haven't really been friends with them, but I've actually known quite a few people that have had the anti beliefs. But yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of them in my Discord server, including one who's in the chat right now. I'm sure they'd love to talk with you sometime.
Mhm.
How do you think the GamerGate conversation would have been more productive?
Mm, Conversation for Gamergate. Uh, if it would have been more productive, if I don't know if there could have been a way of it being productive because both sides were had their hardline beliefs. Oh, and Sonita, is that her name? or his name,
Mist
or
Sonata, her name.
Mist Sonata. Yeah, there's a felt, not a win condition, but there is a felt condition for Tetris, and I think there is a win condition, but it's more of you failed type of thing. It's how far you could go with Tetris, kind of like yeah. But no, there's a like how far you could go with Pac-Man type of thing, but you could also fail at it. That's what I think when I think of games, but no, how do I put this? No, we didn't. I had some interaction with the antis, but after like the whole thing with helicopter guy originally, I like said, okay, I'm done with this crap. And yeah, how insane it got during that stream, I was like, okay, maybe I should dial it down a little bit. It was after that one stream that made me think, okay, if they're that crazy, how crazy have I been? And I knew I was crazy. So, like I said before, I was on the verge of being institutionalized. I never really told people that, but yeah, I was close. I was literally close just because of my stress levels and stuff. And I was freaking out over every little thing. When your stress jumps up and stuff and you're freaking out and you're panicking over things and your mother looks at you afraid you're going to get a heart attack and gives you an ultimatum that you have to go see a therapist, or not therapist, a therapist and psychiatrist, that or they're going to push for you to be institutionalized for a 2-week hold. It, yeah, I had that, and I couldn't even imagine what these other people went through in their minds. If that was me going through my mind, I couldn't imagine what the other people were like. I know a lot of us had mental issues.
Yeah, and it's completely fine to talk about that. I think it's good that people talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Has your personal experience with this movement and with the mental health aspects that some of it brought to the surface, has that helped you better empathize with the anti-GamerGate people and some of the
Yeah,
stuff that
kind
they
of
went
it
through too?
does. You think about it and it's like, okay, what are they going through? Okay, if at first when I thought of it, I thought they were just the devil. They were just evil, like how people acted and stuff. You just think about like, oh, the other side is just pure evil in what they do. And then you come to think about it, wait a minute, were they actually as flawed as we were? And you look at that and it's like, oh, maybe they were just as flawed as we were. That's how I think of it. It's everyone had flaws in some way or another, no matter. Oh shit! Got to get my mind together again. As you could tell, I have a lot of times when my mind separates from my mouth. Uh, 1 second here. The whole thing with the anti, just people's mindsets and stuff, you wonder if it's just like some pre-existing problems they had that they have never addressed yet, and then they look back at, and then it finally gets addressed and they look back at it and they say, holy shit, what the hell was I thinking? I always wanted to know how many of the antis actually thought that way, like looked back at it and say, holy shit, I side with some of those people that sent death and rape threats to some girls in Gamergate and things like that. I supported those people. Like you think back at things like that and you think, wait a minute, I actually was on a few streams with those people. I thought they were good people with some of these revolt or people like that. You look at associating yourself with people like that. It's a reflection on what you were when you were at your worst. So I would love to know what the antis were like.
Yeah, I did live streams too with some of the GGRevolt people, at least in the beginning. Obviously, later on, once it got off the rail, I mean, maybe it was always off the rails in Revolt. I don't know, but it seemed like there was like period of time for a few weeks where they at least pretended to be a bit more moderate, and then after that, they completely lost it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
It's
What do you
just a mental issue.
what do you think
It's
of? Oh, God.
Go right ahead.
What do you think of GGRevolt?
They're nutcases. Their hearts were in the right places, but their brains completely went off the ledge, just like my brain went off the ledge quite a few times. But I will still admit, I know I'm flawed. I know I was a lunatic back then. I know my mind wasn't in the right train of thought back then. And I look back at it and say, you shouldn't be acting this way. You should be a little bit more mature in how you act. Like, I was a lot more childish back when I was younger. Like, ugh, I can't explain it. Like when you have the conditions I have, your brain is usually back by at least a good 5 years, and the maturity aspect of the whole thing. Just imagine that for some 24-year-old guy that first heard about Gamergate and then doesn't know how to handle the whole situation. A complete total amateur to the internet, and or not the internet itself, but just doing like getting involved in causes like that. You're just a complete and total amateur, and you're not really prepared for it. Yeah, I've learned that one the hard way.
Yeah, with the exception of some of the people who were maybe involved with Occupy Wall Street, I don't know if any of us or Black Lives
God,
Matter, I guess, started before Gamergate too. So unless, except for like the people who were involved in those two causes, nobody really knew what they were doing. We were all amateurs.
yeah. Like you didn't know, like you always thought, like with Revolt and BLM, for instance. Like when I saw BLM, it's like the heart's in the right place type of thing. Same with the Revolt people. They thought they were doing the right thing originally, and then well, a downward spiral hits. You always have a downward spiral with people, just because. Oh wait, they think, okay, this is our thoughts. Oh, we're going even further. Let's just continue going further down just so they can find something new to talk about. So they do this downward spiral when they I don't know. It's kind of like one of my problems I've had with painkillers and stuff in the past. It's kind of when you have painkiller addiction or dependency is a better word to describe what I had, but addiction, dependency, whatever you want to describe it. It's a step process. Like you're fine, like at first it's fine for you. You're okay with it, but then you need to take more and take more and take more because you gain an immunity to it. So it slowly starts rising up until it gets to a dangerous point. That's how I think of the groups and stuff.
There's a framing that a lot of Gamergate people have that Gamergate was great, but GGRevolt, they were the real bad guys. And that's one that I've used before, and I think that that's like mostly true. I think there's a lot of truth in that at least. But
Yeah, there is a lot of truth. People are lunatics. I'm just gonna say that we were all lunatics. Like if I got down to my extremist views, even though I was always moderate and I just got extreme because of the shit I saw from people. If I went extreme, could you imagine what people on like one of the extreme sides would do? Like it's just it's a pendulum, and it's a very dangerous pendulum at that.
is this framing though that I myself have used before, constantly actually, is this framing about the GGRevolt people being the monsters? Is that really fair to them?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It just depends on their actions in the process. It has to be, it's something to do with just how they are and stuff as people. It's sometimes they do good, few times they do good, but a lot of times you see nothing but bad from these people. It's the extreme parts of our group. You look back at it, and that's my thoughts. They were just extreme people that went a little extreme and stuff. And sometimes they did some things that are really bad. Sometimes they did things that were really good. That's how I look back at those groups. Like everyone has like good thoughts when they start their groups, but then it's like painkillers. It's a slow descent of, okay, we need to talk about this more and more and more, and it gets down to this downward spiral unless you have someone there to help you so you don't so they can pull you out of the spiral. It'll get worse, like the addiction, for instance, of that I've been suffering most of the past few years. It could kill you if you don't handle it right. So I don't know the best way to describe me what would happen with the revolters or the people that were too heavily spirited into their beliefs and they would push hard for it. I don't know about what I would consider that compared to like the addiction that could kill you. I don't know how I could compare it, but it's just it's a slow descent into madness. How about that?
Thank you for watching another GamerGate book video segment. For 30 days, starting on December 9th, I'm running a Kickstarter campaign for this project, so please back the campaign for the people of GamerGate on Kickstarter or at gamergatebook.com. This project investigating and documenting the history of GamerGate from a variety of perspectives requires your support, and I appreciate it. Thank you.